Yo. What's up, everybody? It's your boy MM2K of PNTS Network and the StadiaDosage platform. I'm here once again with another weekly checkup. That's where we talk the latest and greatest in Stadia news, all right? And cloud gaming news as well. Now, I do have a fellow host. His name is Daryl Smock Jr. Daryl said he might be making it today. Not 100% sure. He might just hop in here. So don't be surprised. Don't drop your laundry if all of a sudden you hear Daryl Smock's sultry voice come up in here and he starts spitting his gamer math as well. But thank you everybody for watching the show. This is the public edition of the show. So you're either watching this live during our Friday taping of the show, which we do with our members on StadiaDosage News via YouTube. Or you're watching this on Sunday via YouTube Premiere. If you want to watch us live during the live taping and kick it with our members, because there's multiple reasons why you want to do that. Number one, we had a hell of a show starting off today where we talked about all the platforms, talked about Xbox. Geek to Sneak had to pull me off the ledge over Xbox. Then we talked about a crazy experience that I had with my PlayStation 5. And then we just talked about Deathloop and other games that we thought were great. If you want to be part of that, those conversations, because this one was like, Jesus Christ, this was like over an hour and 15 minutes long. All that extra content is with our members, all of our members. So just hit that join button below and you can get a piece of all that great, tasty goodness. So you'll see comments popping up if you're watching a public edition of this and you're watching it on Sunday. You're gonna see comments popping up here and there. And you're like, hold on, this ain't in the chat. These are comments from our members, all right? So that's why. All right, so on today's show, we're going to be talking about multiple things. The first thing that we're going to be talking about is Stadia news. And included in that Stadia news is Stadia's race to 100 games. This is a very interesting article on StadiaDosage.com. I want to cover it. Stadia esports, question mark. Stadia going to be integrating some esports in some shape, form, or fashion. We're going to show you where that came from. And also, I got a bone to pick over the Stadia 100 trials. For those of you that watched our show last night from 2 nights ago from SSC Podcast, you know what I'm talking about. I won't be that long-winded, but I have a bone to pick about these Stadia 100 trials. I'm going to try my best to explain it without sounding like the crazy old man that I am. But here's what I want to do. I want to shout out everybody that is in our chat, our member chat. At the moment, we got Geek to Sneak. We got Predator in the house. We got Mostly Martinez in the house. We got Cody Maloney that's in the house. Who else? We got Dusty Iran that's in the house. And Sean L. Ayo in the house. These are just some of our members that are in the house that are participating in the chat. While we talk the latest and greatest in Stadia and cloud gaming news. All right. So hold on. Geek got another question from our member show, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about it because some great stuff. He says, so what you're saying is if I get it on PC, I have someone to play with, Sean L. Oh, okay. Oh, Sean L. you got it on PC? He says, me too, Geek. I bought it on both platforms. Oh, okay, word. Shoot. All right, then we can, I might be the third wheel. I might get the game on PC as well. We're talking about, we in the members section, we were talking about Deathloop. I was talking about how of an important game that is to get when you're talking about next generation efforts or current generation efforts, however you want to label it. Heck of a game. I really think with the murmurs back and forth over Halo and Horizon Forbidden West and some of those flagship titles, I think in this one was kind of like overlooked because it didn't fit the console war narrative, because The game is a PlayStation exclusive, but it was made by an Xbox studio. You know what I'm saying? So really nobody can really like grab it and claim it like, yeah, because if you're an Xbox fanboy, you're like, yeah, our studio made it, but you can't play it. You know what I mean? And if you're a PlayStation fanboy, yeah, you're enjoying a great game, but you know you're hesitant to claim it for a long time, except in some ridicule. Hey, we got your good games, and you before you even get any good games there. But that's it, and you don't give it the accolades that it deserves because it's an Xbox studio that's making it. And it's a sad state of affairs where the console wars define the narrative of the news. And that's kind of like what we were talking about to a degree earlier. So again, if you want all that great conversation, join us. People in the chat, let me know how the audio levels are too, because it's bumping in my ear. I don't know how it is to y'all, but with that being said, let's continue on. All right, so let's talk about some great content that is over here on Stadia. So we're going to get to the Stadia news right now, and with no further ado, let me show you something. This is Race to 100 Games, July 2022 update, and this is coming courtesy of our sister website, StadiaDosage.com, for all the latest and greatest in Stadia news, community, fanfare, whatever you want to call it. Like, come to StadiaDosage.com. You're going to get your dose of Stadia happenings. All right. And shout out to latest contributor Eddie Rick, man, came up with a heck of an article where he measures the race to 100 games. And it says, with the next up on Stadia blog post from February, Stadia announced that the platform would again be receiving 100 plus games in 2022. And that's something that we all been talking about, right? Are they going to hit this benchmark of 100 plus games? Excuse me. And he talks about the race. He says the race to 100 games in 2022 with today's release of DC League of Super Pets, The Adventures of Crypto and Ace, and Valiant Hearts: The Great War. The 2022 game count sits at 41. To reach 100 games by the end of the year, the average release over the course of the year would need to be 1.92 games a week. As of today, there has been an average of only 1.46 games a week. However, all is not lost. In the race to 100 games infographic above, you'll see that we are following a similar trend to 2020. We've always said that here. And as of today, 2022 has actually crept ahead. So if you see the graph, as far as like which years is what, we had 108 in 2020, 109 in 2021, and in this year we're at 41, which if you look at that graph, it's slightly above where we were at in 2020, right? So here's the real interesting part that I want to talk about. It says it's also nice to see that for the months of May, June, and July now, the game count released on Stadia, and this is over 2021 and 2022, has actually been greater this year than in 2021. 2022 has the most games released for the month of July of any year so far. In addition, to be sure to note that since Stadia began in 2019, we've seen a total of 105 games released between October and December. So start saving up for the holidays. I think that's very interesting, right? And here goes a nice graph of where we were at each month, along with each year, comparing each year with games, right? And yes, 2022 started off low, so did 2020. 2022 was the lowest in February out of all the years. 2022 was second in March. 2022 was last in April. 2022, am I looking right? 2022 is second in May, and it's second in June. July 2022 is number one. Interesting stuff. So when you have these graphs and these people that do this data analysis like myself, but they do it way better than me, like myself and Eric and Jack, This is fact-based data that's being consumed by you, the listening public, and it's detailed data. Like, when you get detailed data like this, there's nothing like it, because people are digging deep. They're digging and looking at everything from 5,000 feet to give you a complete story here. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes when we do like those topical graphs and things like that, and we try to look at things from a topical level, we don't grab everything. You know what I mean? But when you do something like this, you're looking at everything in totality. You're breaking it up in various segments, and the information is less caveated, and it shows you everything that's going on. So even though we may say, oh, 2022 is the worst year ever, doesn't look numerically, it doesn't show that. So is that a factual statement? Now, if you combine that with AAA games, it depends, you know, that's all subjective. But numerically, it's not the worst year as far as being able to access games. And what's becoming more and more true to light is, in a year that on some platforms may have been top heavy in AAAs, like 2022 was top heavy in AAA games, right? And Stadia, even though there were some of the AAA games that came, like we had, I consider World War Z one, even though that wasn't a day and date title, but World War Z and mainly Rainbow Six Extraction. I don't know if I consider Dynasty Warriors. I mean, I guess some people would, you know. They had two games to where, you know, other platforms may have had 4 or 5. So they were top heavy in AAA games, where normally this time of the year isn't top heavy in games at all, let alone AAA games. But now we're going deeper into the year, and we're starting to see those AAA offerings dwindle down. And you're starting to see that everybody's kind of on the same plateau. And now that we see that, Stadia is so horrible? No. And is it? And now looking at this chart, does it seem so impossible for Stadia to get access to 100 games this year, being that they were able to do it in 2020 with a small startup, and still reach over 100 games then? Doesn't seem impossible anymore. So it's always good, before we throw out our conjecture or talk with our emotions, that we go check the precedent. I know people don't like hearing that. People hate hearing that from old timers like myself, but it's important. It's important to go check a precedent, because that's just a way of measuring the motifs that we have, right? It is what was Stadia light at the beginning? Yes. But does that mean that it's impossible for them to reach 100 because they don't care or whatever? No, we've been here before. And I like this last paragraph. It says, it's all there in black and white and in color. The release rate of games doesn't have to be constant across the year. It comes in waves. For anyone saying, well, it's only 41 games and we're already past the halfway point, what I can say is, between the titles with known release dates and those expected to be released this year, it's going to be a very, very fun final 170 days of 2022. I think that's great stuff. Very interesting article. Go check it out. StadiaDosage.com, where all this tasty informational goodness is at. You don't want to miss it. But what do you think? What do you guys think? In the chat, do you think that Stadia is going to reach 100 games? You're still doubtful? You know, all that stuff. Let us know in the chat. Definitely. All right. Great stuff. Okay, so the next thing that I would like to talk about is see if this Stadia APK finding, like, I'm going to be honest with you. Stadia APK findings as of late have not been as boom, boom, kaboom as they were in 2020. Like, remember, like, that was the biggest news back in 2020. If you're an old timer like myself, was the Stadia APK findings, right? Man, it's not, not so much anymore, but there's still some cool stuff to be found in them. Shout out to, I believe, Justin Uberti, who went before the app or access to Stadia went away from solely a native app and more to PWA. And Justin moved on. I think he moved on to Clubhouse, a successful venture there. So I remember when Justin left and everybody was like, "Oh, he's going to Club Sandwich. Where? Oh, Stadia's dead." Remember that? Look how big Clubhouse is now. So shout out to Justin for his latest venture. And I think he's like somebody high up there for Clubhouse. Anyway, that being said, APK findings are starting to slowly creep back up, to a more prominent role in the news reporting. I mean, we report on all of it here, again, because as for the Stadia community, these are things that you guys are interested in. You guys want to find information on as soon as you can. So, of course, we're going to report on it here, regardless of what's in the findings, and just share them with you. But with this latest update, there's some cool stuff in here. And in particular, there's this reference to esports. So I want to share that with you guys. It says the Stadia APK 4.22. And shout out to Jack to Slip for putting this article out here. He is our resident APK breakdown man. He's the lawnmower man for our APK breakdowns here at StadiaDosage. He says, this is definitely a juicy update. There is a lot here to unpack, so let's dive right in. It looks like Android app is gearing up to support esports events as part of Immersive Stream or Stadia. It makes so much sense for esports to use cloud gaming. Cheating can be effectively mitigated and players are given a level playing field in terms of hardware, etc. Check out these new strings that we found. And there are strings that precurse with sports immersive, matchless page, single match page, standings page, news page, leaderboard page. So it sounds like that there's going to be some serious esports or esports-like integration with the platform. He says this makes us think again about what the phrase spectator could possibly be in the strings that we found previously. See the below APK findings. It appears to be related to the ability to tune into another stream, the broadcaster, but spectating esports makes sense as well. And again, there is a new string about spectators. And then that string is spectator media player info, spectator media player info error cause. And then there's additional media player strings. There's more in this APK, but I just wanted to focus on the esports aspect of it. I mean, I think this is huge. But I know some of the questions that might be floating out there are, what would having esports on the platform, what would that do? Would it make it more appealing? And I would say absolutely. I think one of the biggest things to have in esports is the cheating. You would seriously put a stranglehold on the cheating that a lot of professional players have been called guilty of or have been considered guilty of. Like somebody told me this, and I'm not a big esports watcher, but I love the whole makeup and just the operation of what esports can do. as a gamer, it excites me, but I'm not up to speed with the current esports, the professional esports scene or whatever. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you could consider me, I love basketball, or so, not, well, this, someone who loves basketball, who loves playing basketball and loves the rules and everything, but they may not necessarily watch the NBA, if that makes sense. So I really appreciate the format of esports and what it's, you know, trying to do and accomplish, but I'm not up to speed with the latest esports, this person, that person. That being said, because I'm not, I routinely talk to people that do watch this, that know who these people are and know who these teams are and know who the captains are and all of this stuff. And they say to me often that up to 50, they feel like up to 50% of these professional players cheat. I was like, how is that possible? Now, again, I'm not saying that those numbers are valid, but a lot of people feel that up to half of these pro players cheat. I don't know, you know, how sensible that is or whatever. But regardless of what the perception is, you do yourself a great favor by being able to participate in esports competitions even at a big stage level, and if you can eliminate that cheating. Another thing that is interesting, and for some reason I cannot find this article. I don't know why I can't find it. But there was a recent article that talked about the findings of a serious study. And what happened was a group of analysts went to a bunch of online gamers. They did a survey of a bunch of online gamers that play the top online games, competitive games. And they asked them, they said, what are your habits like with playing these online games over the last 3 years or so, 3 to 5 years, I can't remember the time frame. And what they discovered is these gamers that, you know, from over that period, they started to stop playing these games. And for various reasons, but the biggest reason was the complaint about latency. They said that the feel of these games are getting worse as the demand goes up. They're getting worse and worse and worse. So the more skilled players, the more the gamers with more lineage, they're starting to abandon these games. They said that the technology isn't up to par to meet the demand and keep servers running smooth and keep latency under wraps. And here's what's interesting about all that is that they're talking about native online gaming experiences. We're not talking about cloud gaming experiences. These are native. And so we know that when you're playing a game natively, that input signal from your controller to that device under your TV, that responsiveness back and forth is going to be a lot faster than me hitting that button and then it going to a server and communicating with the server and doing it on screen, and then me seeing that happen. They know that's going to be faster. Now, depending upon how, we know that's going to be slower. Now, depending upon how slow that is, depends on a variety of different things. AI, machine learning, predictive controlling is part of that. But here's the crazy thing. That part is always going to get better. And I think GFN's 3080 tier is a testament to that. Kudos to them. And again, I always say this, even though I may not be a particular fan or a particular consumer case for a particular product or service, I can definitely appreciate what it contributes. And the lag and the latency technology, the predictive controlling or whatever that they have going with the 3080 tier is fantastic. Without a shadow of a doubt, it's fantastic. these are the early years. It's only going to get better, and it's only going to get better for everybody that does cloud gaming. So you're going to get to a point to where that part is going to get more and more indistinguishable to native hardware, right? It may not never get to, you know, let's just say native PCs is like 13 milliseconds of lag, and you know, GFN can get you to 15. You know, it may not ever be a 1v1 match, but it's going to be so indistinguishable that to the human eye, even to the severely trained human eye of an esports player, it's not going to make a difference. That's what's going to happen on that front. Here's what's not going to improve in all likelihood, in the reverse for native hardware. Now, the lag that they're experiencing on the native hardware front, and again, take this with a grain of salt. If I butcher anything, I deeply apologize, and someone correct me in the chat or wherever, or in the comments after the fact. But from my understanding, the part that is failing gamers of native consoles or native hardware is the communication between servers. That's always going to be a problem when you have activity on this console all the way over here in Wichita, Kansas, and then this one over here in Ireland. When they're all trying to ping to a server and act simultaneously, the more players, the more activity, it's only going to get worse and worse and worse. And that's what these people are saying, is that they're getting worse and worse and worse. The only remedy to that we know of is the remedy that cloud gaming has. See, all those games, when you're cloud gaming, aren't on local devices that are in your home. They are on servers. So the latency that's caused because of the fact that the gaming is happening on these boxes in these various locations, that's admonished because of what's happening with all these games coming from the same server, right? Being played from the same server. So you have one dynamic. This is the crazy thing. And I'm going to find this article because I dare the next native person that tells me, cloud gaming will never be as good as, I mean, on paper, it may be a millisecond or two off, but to the human, it's not going to make a difference. Not Fred the robot, but to the human, there's not going to be any noticeable difference. So, but I dare the native device hog to make that argument. I want to show them this article because you have one aspect of online gaming that causes lag that's getting worse with native gameplay versus getting better with other with cloud gaming gameplay. I wish I could find that article. Oh my gosh, hold on. Let me see here. Give me a second, y'all. And I'm gonna read some comments in the chat. Oh, my brother Aminor is here. He says Stadia has no games. And Geek the Sneak says, I think they'll meet their goal. Let me see if oh man, I hope I can. I can't believe that I did not save this article. Bear with me. I gotta look for it. I gotta look for this thing. Let me see. I'm looking in my emails. Jesus. I thought I sent it to myself. Wow. Excuse me. Let me do this. I wonder if I sent it to. Damn it. Oh, that sucks. That sucks so bad. That sucks so bad. I'm gonna try. golly. I'm gonna try one more place. Let me see. Let me try this. I know this is super unprofessional. Super unprofessional, but this, you guys gotta see this if I can find it real quick. Nope, and I can't. I can't find it real quick. I'm sorry. If I find it later, here's what I'll do. If I find it later, I'm gonna put it in the chat, okay? I deeply apologize. I was looking for it all week and I can't find it, and just talking about this, because as I'm talking about this, I know people are gonna say, yeah, right. And it's a real study. So I'm gonna find that article. We're gonna get it out there to you guys, so you can talk about it. All right. And you can see that again. And so next time you go deal with these daddy device hogs, which I love daddy device. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that daddy devices are going to be obsolete. What I'm they make sense. They make the most sense for some gamers, and they will make the most sense for gamers for a long time. But as time goes on, I think what's going to make sense for gamers more and more and more over time will be cloud gaming, for its cost efficiency, its accessibility, and so many other things. And as technology and the infrastructure, internet, particularly in the United States, gets better and all over the world, it's going to make more and more sense. I ain't got to wait for my PlayStation 5 to become available. I'm not gonna have a problem so much with the chip shortage to where I can't enjoy, PlayStation Cloud or whatever. Those concerns are gonna go away, and it's just gonna put more money in the hands of companies. And people hear that and they say, "Oh, well, why would we want that?" Because that's gonna allow them to do more things. If they want to continue to be, especially for companies that are on top, if they want to continue to be on top, they're going to have to figure out more and more ways to innovate and excite its consumer base. And I think we have the lack of technology that we've been seeing over the last generation or so, because it's too expensive to try to do new things. It's too expensive and therefore too risky to try to do new things. But when we can cut out the cost of like hardware, again, we ain't got to cut it out all the way, but if we can reduce it by half or by the next 6 years, I think you're going to see a lot of innovative things happening with these companies, especially because the platforms are going to be in the cloud. There's going to be things that they can, it's going to be fantastic, I believe. You hear companies like Microsoft say things like, look, the reason why that we didn't want to get rid of Xbox Live with Gold's paywall for free-to-play multiplayer is because this subsidizes the losses that we see with consoles. You got to remember, even though these guys are all providing AAA experiences and stuff like that, and they're providing much of the same games except for their exclusive content, they got to come at it at different angles. Microsoft and PlayStation can't do it the exact same way. Microsoft and PlayStation have different relationships established. Like PlayStation is more of a manufacturer than Microsoft. So it's easier for them to get parts and come up with parts for their console that over time are going to decrease faster than Microsoft. So that's why Microsoft, they want to provide you power. They want to provide you uniqueness, but the dealing with the console restricts them. And that's why I'm kind of confused on why they went with this, using the Xbox Series X as the server blades, because, well, I don't know, but I think that's a large reason of why they find themselves behind in performance in general with their cloud gaming peers, but that's here nor there. That being said, there's a reason why they want to get rid of that hardware. They take a larger hit. Every time Phil is asked about the hit that they take on hardware, he winces. I think that's genuine. I think it angers him that right now he can't get more people convinced to get away from the console. I think a lot of his stress would go away if he could get away with that, because the way he's looking at it is, you know what we want to do is going to cost money, and we could do more, but we're hamstrung by this hardware. When we kind of heard that in the testimony when it came to the Apple versus Epic Game Store, where I think they had an exec talk about, they kind of like were wincing on as well on the stand about how like we're really not making as much as we're really hamstrung as far as what we could be making because of the console. Where Sony, atypically after 2 or 3 years, they're in the green with every console that they sell. Microsoft, they're not in that position. So you're expecting Microsoft to do as much as Sony, in cases even more, when they're getting less, when they're maintaining less. Revenue and profit are two totally different things. So I forgot the financial term for it, but whenever you sell a unit, which is your main product, whenever you sell a unit of something, you have to consider the cost to distribute that unit. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's through a job or a wholesale or whatever, and I forget the business term of it, but you know, like for instance, when you sell a game for $49.99 or $69.99 now, I guess. Yeah, 69. You know, you multiply 1,000,000 times $69.99, and that tells you your revenue. But there's a term where it's like your profit per unit, and you have to subtract, you know, the cost of this, how much goes to the actual publisher, all that you got, and then you got to subtract the cost, the estimated cost of each console that's attached to a certain degree. There's certain things that you got to do. So when you got to do all that calculation and come up with the true unit cost, I'm just going to call it that. We got to come up with the true unit cost. It's more for PlayStation than it is for Xbox. Now, they don't advertise that stuff. That's just all internal stuff. But just to give you an understanding of why Xbox is so staunch, and I get it, and I agree with it to that extent, why they're so staunch on ridding themselves of the console. And I get there's that, well, if things aren't exclusive, I get that argument. But again, everybody doesn't have the luxury of being PlayStation and being able to, in 3 years after you release a console, you know, parts and stuff like that go down so much because of the industry that you're already in, that you're now in agreeing with your consoles. Xbox, they don't have that luxury. And Xbox promotes power. So when you promote that power, you know, you're never going to get out of the red with each console sold. You're just hoping to make it up with the software, right? So just important things to take into consideration. Let's go look at some more comments. Mostly Martinez says, Aminar, I will miss Stadia when it shuts down. Asus, Zephyrus, G14 and 15 or Razer Blade. Oh, they're conversating about PC parts, I think. Okay, here goes Aminar. He says, I will play on Stadia when they get all the games and they are on my TV as an app and it says 20 million user base minimum. Okay. We're gonna hold you to that. Matter of fact, let me see. Can I postmark? Okay, I postmarked that comment so I can bring it up. Hopefully, it'll stay in my queue so I can bring it up next chat. All right, that's interesting stuff. Not saying it's gonna happen by next chat, but I want to keep a bookmark on that. All right, so interesting stuff. All right, great conversation. But that's why I think esports would be appealing on Stadia, because it's esports on cloud gaming in general is following the trend of the latency bubble. Like the trend of the latency bubble, again, going off that report, over time, it's incrementally favoring cloud gaming and not favoring native gaming. or maybe a better way to put it is, incrementally, it's improving. I'll put it like that. Incrementally, it's improving over time on cloud gaming, where it's declining on native gaming. Now, it may never improve to the point on cloud gaming where it's better than native gaming, but it's going to get indistinguishable from a button pressing communication to the device type thing. You know what I'm saying? And then if it's so much indistinguishable, then what's going to happen is people are going to say, well, where is my pure advantage anymore of paying $500 for a console, or paying paying $1,500 for a PC, or paying $1,500 for a video card? It's cool if I get 30 milliseconds less of button press response, of latency, but the server communication, I'm getting 27 more, to where it's like a net 3 milliseconds, and again, I could be butchering how to explain that, but you know what I'm saying? Like, to where both aspects of those, I do understand that both aspects of those are playing a role, whether it's the button pressing part or the communication between devices going to the same server, opposed to the game being played from the same servers. As one aspect goes up and another goes down, when they become indistinguishable, at that point, do you then ask, why am I paying? Or not everybody will ask that question, but a lot of people will ask, well, why am I paying this? Well, I could just play it online via the cloud. Now, again, psychologically, people still think, well, I own the copy because I'm downloading it to something. And that's what I'd rather do. Fine. But even if you get a reduction of 40, 45, 50% of people that feel like they need native hardware, particularly consoles, that's going to help out these platform holders in having more money and being able to do more stuff. Now, long-term PlayStation might say, we eventually we make money on these, so we're going to kind of lose out, but I'm pretty sure they'll make that up in subscriptions, or people that are, sign up to their services. All right, awesome stuff. What games would you like to see too on there? We kind of talked about this in SSC podcast. X Defiant. Oh man, now that we're allowed to talk about that, and if anybody's listening to X Defiant, right, and you're playing on PC, I used to have access to the beta. I would love to get access to the beta again. I don't know what the heck is going on. I've been trying. I've been in the Discord. I'm part of the special group that gets access to certain sites or whatever, and I can never get signed up for a beta. But that is a game that stole my soul. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be a great game for cloud gamers to have, and I'm glad Ubisoft is bringing that, not just to Stadia, to everybody. I think that's going to be a great game. That would be a great game to have esports on. A PUBG, I love PUBG. We had that PUBG tournament, I think in 2020 or 2021. It was like 100 of us or whatever. That would be great. Also, trying to think. You guys know I love Division 2. Division 2 PvP would be great. What also would be great is racers. There's the Grid 40 car race that we used to have, where we manually set that up in the Stadia community. That'd be a great thing to have. There's so many opportunities, so many things to think of. What I'm hoping that it is at least one of these two things, if not both. I hope that it is either and or like esports, actually like professional esports utilizing Stadia in some shape, form, or fashion, right? Or because what happens is if they're going to do that to try to eliminate cheating, right? And to make esports gaming more accessible at a professional level, that forces Stadia to improve more regularly. Like right now, they may look at costs and things like that and just look at it from a retail level and say, does it make sense to come out with the Gen 2.0 if for retail, nobody's going to develop for it? But it'll make sense if esports has come in and you know, Call of Duty for some reason would be part of the immersive stream esports. And again, we know how immersive stream relates to Stadia. We know that if it gets buffered up for immersive stream, it's going to relate to Stadia as well. Now, does that mean that every esports game that may be added under a professional status is going to come to Stadia? Maybe not, but that increases the likelihood. But at least there's going to be some residual benefits from the performance. It's going to have to perform better. You know what I mean? In addition to that, I'm hoping that it does it from a community level. The game community from Xbox. I remember with the Xbox One generation, they did this thing to where you could set up your own esports. I believe whether it was paid or not paid or whatever through the service. I'm hoping something like that happens. You know what I mean? So we can continue to, at a more organized level, do the 40 car races or do the division tournaments and stuff that we want to do. You know what I'm saying? It's get people together and, you know, attach gifts to that. That would be great. Because that's one of the strengths of the Stadia community is that we're able to continue to get together, play games, and have a whole lot of fun. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping that at least one, if not both of those things is how this esports setup will happen. But you know, of course I want both. So it's just a great opportunity. We'll love to see it come into the platform. So we're going to keep our eye on that one and see how that one folds out. The last thing for the Stadia news that I want to talk about is the Stadia 100 trials, Stadia free trials. All right. Shout out to Petter for this article on StadiaDosage.com. He says 100 games that anybody can try with or without a Stadia account are now available on the platform. So whether you're a longtime Stadian or have yet to dip your toe into the clouds, there is no better way to decide what your next purchase will be. Simply play and click, and you can click on that link and find the full list of the trials. Fantastic article by Petter. Check it out on StadiaDosage.com. So one of the questions that people may ask is, okay, they put a lot of these trials out there, right? But is this will this benefit Stadia having these trials out here? And why or why not? I think this is good to have. I think it's great to have. I'm going to be honest. In my opinion, I don't know if so many of them. Well, no, I'm going to take that back. I'm going to take that. Now that I think about it, I think it's good. What I would have liked to see is more of the top AAA games that perform excellent on the platform have trials. Like, I don't think there's a Division 2 trial yet. I think there needs to be a Division 2 trial. There needs to be a 2-hour Division 2 trial. Right. Just the standard edition. It would be wonderful if Division would do that. You know, now I could be saying all this, and there is a Division 2 trial, and so that would look even more silly. But from what I understand, I don't think that there is. Let's take a look, and I don't think that I can see. I don't think I can see the list from where I'm at right now. Hold on. Oops. Oh, that's the wrong article. Stadia. Yeah. Okay, there we go. All right, let me look. What the hell? Why is it doing this? Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't see. Let me do something here. Let me copy this link. Let me open this, and let's see if here I can see all the trials. All right, these are in alphabetical order. Darksiders. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that there are not fantastic games here. There are a lot of, there are some excellent titles here. Excellent titles here. My argument is you got to have the best of the best. And you got to have a Division 2 trial up here. You got to have a Division 2 trial. And I wouldn't even understand why Ubisoft, there has to be some technical thing involved because Ubisoft has other games up here. But I don't understand why Ubisoft wouldn't want to do it because they just went through this whole stint of trying to promote more people to Division 2 with this program, this referral program. You know what I'm saying? I just feel that now I get why Doom may not be out there. I don't know if I didn't check. Let me go check again and see if Doom is out here. I get where something like where Doom may not be out here. That's Microsoft. I get where Doom, I get where Elder Scrolls. Yeah, Doom's not here. That makes sense, right? Oh, come on. What the hell is this? The hell? Oh God, what did I do? Oh, I clicked that. Okay, I didn't know what the hell I did. All right. I get where Doom is in here. That makes sense. But Ubisoft should have Division 2 there. It's the best port on the game, bar none. And granting someone 2-hour access to the game, I think would be great on Stadia for them to play and be like, you know, and be like, yeah, this thing is fantastic. And this is, and that would be a port. Like I would put our recommends, you know what I'm saying? Well, I guess you can't do that because then other publishers will be mad. How come you're not recommending our games? You know what I'm saying? But I would have the Division 2 there. Definitely. Because what you want to, because the reason why I would have Division 2 there, it goes into my next point, my pet peeve. I don't think that these game trials are getting enough traction. Like, these are great. This is fantastic. This is what you want to have available on the platform. And I know a lot of journalists and stuff have said that. That'd be great if Stadia could give you a snippet of how it works. I don't think Stadia's problem since 2020, since they allowed you to play via the web, since December 2020, when they expanded a little bit further, they allowed you to play on the web via the web without ever opening the app. Like when they had the store on the web. And then even further when they started doing PWA, where you got all the functionality of the app on the web. I don't think Stadia's problem was access. And this is where, y'all know I love the platform. You know I'm optimistic about it. You know I have high hopes for it, and I love the direction like the Dov, Zimmerig, and everybody else is doing with the platform. I love what everybody's doing. But we can always have those discussions of where we're trying to make sure that gaps are filled in. We're just saying, hey, you know, just in case, because nobody's perfect, right? I just feel that sometimes there's these echo chambers or these things that are being blurted at Stadia from certain entities, and they're like, and these are entities that are well known. But just because you're a well-known entity doesn't mean that you know what you're talking about. Like, for instance, Jason Schreier. He said something as far as Stadia, you know, should just be a hub for indie games and stuff like that, and you know, and promoting nothing but indie games. And I'm all for promoting indie games, but where Stadia shines is getting quality titles, you know, that either people didn't hear of or that people definitely want to play in the hands of gamers the easiest way. That's whether it's indie or AAA. Quality games. Again, they told you they weren't going to be the wild, wild west of the market. I believe in that wholeheartedly. And that's why most gamers, you know, the hardcore buy everything on Stadia. You know what I'm saying? Because these are, for the most part, quality titles. So Jason Schreier, very famous person. He's talked to a lot of game developers and talked to a lot of gamers and stuff like that, but he's not in sync. And he's especially not in sync to what make this great and what makes people come to it. He may tell you what may make him come to it, but you can have all those connections and not be connected, if that makes sense, right? So Jason Schreier is way off with that. And so we've had also situations where people didn't want stealth drop, or only wanted stealth drops and things like that. And you can have connections and not be connected. You have to be aware of what the problem is. So whenever I'm trying to identify a problem, like earlier in our stream, I wanted a fair analysis of my thoughts about Xbox. So our member, Geek to Sneak, who is a fan of Xbox, but not a fanboy. I think he's the atypical prototype of who Xbox is trying to go after, but he's not going to dedicate his life, soul, and blood marrow to the platform. If they don't hit on particular marks, I feel like Geek to Sneak is going to be like, all right, see you, bye. You know what I mean? Now, what he's looking for is different from what I'm looking for. So I can sit here and I can bloviate all day about what I don't like about Xbox. Xbox doesn't care, nor should they care, as long as they're hitting the marks with their key demographic. And I feel Geek to Sneak is part of that, right? So as I'm talking about my pet peeves with Xbox, I'm referencing the Geek to Sneak, and I'm like, Geek, I'm channeling this through him. What are your thoughts on this, right? And he's like, well, I get where you're coming from, but as that prototype, part of that demographic, like, I'm good. So I get where you're coming from, but that has no bearing to us who Xbox is targeting. And so I just got to walk away with that and say, okay, well, you know, I had the, you know, it's great conversation piece, but what I'm feeling has no bearing on the atypical consumer, right? Xbox consumer. So with that being said, that also led to us getting Doc Dark involved. Remember, we sent him in that pack because we thought that if there was some type of consumer that you want to win over and win them over systemically, it's got to be Doc Dark. So when Doc Dark gets this, he's going to do one or two things. He's going to say, I like it. He's going to say, I don't like it. But regardless of where he falls, when he gives his reasoning, these are the reasonings that Google is going to want to listen to help extend their footprint. That's why we sent him the Premiere. We didn't send Doc Dark a Premiere because we wanted to smooth somebody over. He was going to get on honestly after trying Stadia out, and he was going to honestly tell what were the shortcomings, the great stuff, and where he fell in between, right? That's what it's about, is hearing that information from key demographic people. Some of these people that talk to a lot of people, sometimes they talk to people to be heard, but they're not listening. So I said all that to say this. I don't think Stadia's problem is access, even though they're doing the right thing by growing the access. Or I won't say I don't think Stadia's key issue as far as connecting to more people, is particularly now, is access. I think Stadia's key what's the word I'm looking for? Stadia's key conflict is relatability. I don't think I can relate to that platform, so I won't even try it. And you have to have things, you can't just make things there. You have to make things there, and then you have to say this is here, and then you got to have somewhat of a conversational lore type piece behind it. I gave the scenario during SSE podcast where I talked about, you know, one time my brother-in-law coerced me and my wife, because we were vegan, to bring, he said, I want to eat healthier like you guys, so bring that vegan mac and cheese. And that's going to be only mac and cheese that's there to a holiday, right? So we're bringing this to folks that are used to eating nothing but regular mac and cheese with all the milk and dairy and eggs and all of this, you know what I'm saying? So when they heard that we were bringing mac and cheese, the vegan mac and cheese, they almost fried it, right? So, but I know the vegan mac and cheese is good because as someone who just went vegan, I don't have taste buds that are dried out yet. That, you know what I'm saying? I ain't been doing this for years. I still want cheesy tasting, you know, it's close to the mac and cheese. So I've perfected my recipe. You know what I mean? I want to watch world-class chefs on YouTube that getting world awards in certain regions, and people actually prefer their vegan mac and cheese over most top-notch regular mac and cheeses, right? And got the recipe together. So I know it's good, it's available, right? But now I got to figure out a clever way, a savvy way. That's the word I'm looking for. I got to figure out a savvy way to get these people to taste this mac and cheese. Because once they taste it, then they'll realize that all the predisposed notions they had were just a bunch of bullpucky. And then we'll be able to move on. So what I did is I explained to them, I said, look, this is what y'all don't understand. I'm not a fad macaroni and cheese person. You know what I'm saying? You know, I gotta eat some tasty tasting macaroni and cheese. And here's the only reason why that I've even started making vegan macaroni and cheese. You know, I have allergies, Showed them the recipes that I went over, showed them the accolades on YouTube, because I know YouTube works with people. People see YouTube and they go, oh, you know, showed them the chef, showed them the accolades, said, this is the recipes that I used. I use this guy's recipe because his vegan mac and cheese is known for its taste. I use this guy, and then I combine it with this guy's recipe because his vegan mac and cheese is known for its creaminess. So I used bits and pieces of both to where they wouldn't clash, and now we have this. And here's what I did. I didn't want any adult tasting this because who are the most critical people when it comes to food? Kids. Ugh, vegan, ugh, that sounds gross. So I had a child eat the mac and cheese. After I did that presentation, this ain't bad. Now, my sister-in-law was there too, and she's just known to be, you know, we love her dearly. She wasn't touching it, right? But everybody else was like, oh, all right, that's what's up. And they enjoyed it and they loved it, and the rest is history. That's, I think, the piece that's missing. Stadia has all these great and wonderful things. And look, there's going to be people that are like my sister-in-law that are just going to sit there, and that's still going to be most people. But I think they can get some better traction if they're just a little more savvy after they say here. Don't just set the vegan mac and cheese there. Come up with a savvy way to link people to this great stuff. And grassroots marketing is fantastic, but it's not always going to work. Sometimes they need to see your confidence in your own product at a global scale. It ain't got to be super expensive. Like, let me give you an example. If I'm working there, this is what I'm doing. It's a YouTube short, 60 seconds. We're creating a YouTube short. I got a guy, gamer looking guy that's just sitting out front with a mic or a phone. You know how these young kids, these college kids now are doing these phone interviews and they're real slick and real sly, and the guy just seems like he's so cool and he's just asking. So I got somebody like that doing that, and he's walking up to people as they're coming out of GameStop. Hey, what's up? Well, how you doing? Good. Just bought you a new game? Yeah. Let me tell you something. You think you're an ultimate gamer? Yeah. I said, you ain't played every which fantastic way that you can play. What are you talking about? Have you tried Google Stadia? Or cloud gaming, and particularly Google Stadia? Oh, come on, man, get out of here. I heard about that trash. No. Tell you what, you're calling it trash right now, and I get it. But I guarantee you that by the time I'm done with you, I can get you to sign up for an account. What? Just hear me out. All right. So here's what we're going to do right now. You pick your poison. You pick your device of choice. And I got a table right next to me. I got a phone. I got a tablet. I got a Chromebook, right? And I'm like, there's over 100 free demos right now that you can play. And you ain't got to sign up for an account, right? Just scroll through, tell me which one you want to play. All right. And then they'll pick one and they'll play it. And then when they play it, they're going to say, hold on. This is crazy. What? This is Stadia? This is the Stadia that I've been hearing about? Now, let me rewind back a little bit. What you do is you have the person say, I bet you by the end of this, I'll convince you to take a 30-day free trial of Google Stadia. We're going to give you 30 days for free. I bet you I can convince you to do that, right? And of course, what you do through the power of editing is everybody may not say yes, but the 3 or 4 people that do say yes in your 60-second short that are like amazed, because I think everybody's going to be amazed. But some people may say, hold on, GameSpot and Game, they're going to think internally, GameSpot and Game Informer have been telling me this can't be true, right? But through the power of editing, you take the 4 or 5 most convincing cases, and then you hand them a ticket that's supposed to represent their 30 days of free Stadia for free on Stadia Pro. Okay, and here goes your Stadia Pro, your 30 days free of Stadia Pro, and then you have them close off. There you go, people. I convinced these people to get on Stadia Pro 30 days free, but you can try Stadia right now. Or try these trials free right now and not pay anything up front. Here's the link. I'm doing something like that. Being savvy Not just setting the macaroni and cheese on the table. You know it's good. You know it. And you know that they're going to think it's good. But you got to go that extra step and utilize that savviness to get them to even scoop it up and taste it. So that's my thing about these free trials. I love the idea. I love the notion. They're fantastic. I know they're fantastic. I've tried some myself. They're great. They're just like playing the Stadia experience. Nice and snappy, get you in it. They're great. But people psychologically now are like, nah, I don't even want to waste the time. I've heard so much about it. It's not even worth the time. You're just, you're going to slide me into something. No, do that commercial and say, you want to know what they experienced and why these people were so excited? Go to stadia.com and try these free trials yourself. No strings attached. And then on top of that, if I'm Google, down the road, because you got to figure out the logistics of this, I am making it to where if after anyone completes a free trial, we'll give them 30 days of Stadia Pro for free. Now you got to be careful because people could just let timers running. So you got to figure that out. But after, again, if someone completes 2 or 3 free trials under a specific Gmail account, and you can track and make sure that they're actually playing the trial instead of just letting it run, and they let them do it. Let them get 30 days of Stadia Pro for free. But that's what I'm doing. I'm using the short. You gotta use that savviness. That's the thing that's the end thing right now. The little jerky kid sitting out there. Yeah, do you wear peanut butter in your socks? They're just asking the crazy. Let me ask you. We got the phone in his hand. Let me ask you a question. You know what I'm saying? You just bought your new game. And you think you're the ultimate gamer? Yeah. Have you ever gamed in the clouds? What you talking about? Have you ever gamed on Google Stadia? Oh man, get out of here. No. Hear me out. I guarantee you that by the time you play this game, or that you play these games on Google Stadia with no strings attached, that I'm gonna get you, you're gonna want to sign up for 30 days free Stadia Pro. Oh yeah, right, whatever. Here you go, pick your poison. Tablet, phone, whatever. Have them on the table, have them play them, you know what I'm saying? And then you capture those crazy, oh my God, what? This isn't the cloud, this is Google Stadia, what? 60 seconds, that's it. Here you go. There goes your ticket for Stadia Pro for free. Hey, look, do you want to experience what made these people happy? Had a little snarky dude, semi-cool dude with the phone in his hand. Look at the camera. Do you want to experience what made these people get all excited? Start gaming in the clouds. Check out Stadia Pro. Check out Stadia. Check out all of we got over 100 free trials. Check them out right now. Stadia.com/games. That's it. That is it. I don't think that's going to cost a lot of money to just put that out there and let people forward it around. Something like that. Maybe as far as advertisements are concerned. Put them on a couple of channels. Put them on a couple of high-profile channels. Right? Just a couple. Again, you can't just set the macaroni and cheese on the table and walk away and say, I know that's good. My brother-in-law is going to tell you that. No. Savviness is key. All right. So I had to get that off my chest, as you can see. I love the click-to-play free trials. We've been reporting on them since they've been available here, but I just want to see that savviness to help scoop that in somebody's mouth the right way, so they're like, wow, okay, you get all that predisposed notion I had before was all bullpucky. This is the real deal. And again, you're not going to convince everybody. You're probably, at this stage of the game, you're still going to have people like my sister-in-law that just was like, had her nose turned up, was like, I was like, come on, sis, come and eat it. I ain't eating that. You still going to get that. But again, I know I've said it ad nauseum. You got to have that savviness to not just set it there, but scoop it up, put it in someone's mouth and get more people to come to it than, you know, than just by making it available. All right. Those are my thoughts. All right. With that being said, let's go to our chat, get their final thoughts on this, and then we're going to move on to cloud gaming news. Yep. Dusty Iran and Geek, they talking about getting their rigs together and all that good stuff. Let me see here. Dusty Iran says all these Ubisoft games come in. They need to have all those games on trial and put the Ubisoft Plus stuff in the store rather than settings. Yeah, I don't get why Division 2 isn't there. I don't get that. More trials, more people hopefully will come in handy. Also for multiplayer events. Shout out to Black Jim Vindicare. Shout out to you, my friend. Thank you for your comment. Give me games and experiences. Absolutely. Give me great games in the cloud or give me death. Sean L says, Stadia won me over with the free PE and to know that all I had to do was buy was the game and I can play it on anything, anywhere. See, and that's the thing, Sean L. See, like, we think outside of the box. That's common sense, right? You have common sense, but you would believe how many gamers don't have common sense. I hate to put it like that, like I'm talking down to gamers, but gamers are, you know, this market is very herdy. Like they operate in like herds of sheep. To pick off more of the herd. Not everybody. You're not going to be able to do everybody in the early years. You're not going to be able to severely leapfrog those projections. But for your new innovations to really get the shine that they deserve and for them to be effective, I feel like that we should do more than just setting them on the table and saying, okay, all right, everybody that knows this mac and cheese is good, you know what I'm saying, talk about it. Like, no, let's actually participate in scooping a spoon in a skeptical person's mouth, right? Because what happens is when you have everybody eating the mac and cheese that already know that the mac and cheese is good, the skeptical people are just watching like, yeah, they can have that. You gotta get it in somebody's mouth. You gotta get it into a skeptical person's mouth. You know what I mean? So we're not the skeptical people. We have the common sense to where we're not just going to listen to IGN or GameSpot. We know better. We know these experiences are great on Stadia. We know better. But unfortunately, everybody's not like that. So it takes that extra savviness to move it forward. Mostly Mortiz says, I need to try this perfected mac and cheese. Yeah, man. I've been working on this mac and cheese for years. It's a culmination of vegan mac and cheese that came from this guy in Atlanta. He's known, he has a vegan restaurant, but the way he seasons his food, his vegan food and stuff like that, it's so good that they say that his restaurant is better than regular restaurants. So the way he showed me how to make the mac and cheese via YouTube, the flavor is good, but see, but it's not creamy, right? It's not real creamy. It tastes good, but then you got to get past the look test. Like, so people that are coming to his restaurant, they know if you're buying a plate and you're getting the mac and cheese, you're looking at it and you're eating it because you're like, okay, I paid for this, I better eat it. But that's different for someone that hasn't made a financial commitment yet. So I'm like, not only does it have to taste good, but I think it needs to be a little bit more creamier. So there's a local place around here where they're called Iron Maiden. And then, so basically what it is, I'll give part of the secret, is that it's a cashew based cream cheese, right? That is part of this guy's mix. And what I had to do is I had to find someone else that made a cashew based cheese that was creamy. That part was hard. Because a lot of cashew cheese is clumpy. And this guy, his wasn't so clumpy, but it wasn't creamy. So I was like, dang, man, because I would try to mix different vegan cheeses together, it just didn't work well. The flavors and the ingredients clashed. So one day, me and my wife went to this convention with our good friends. And we were like, it was like an expo. I forgot what the expo was, but it was like random vendor expo. We went there and we're all checking out different stuff. And there happened to be a vegan section. So we're all like, all 3 out of the 4 of us are vegan. My best friend, who is married to my wife's best friend, ain't that something? He ain't vegan. Or he wasn't vegan at the time. He's like, oh, this vegan crap, right? So we all go and we're looking for different places. And then we find this place called Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden, they make vegan food. And their food smelled the best there. And then when we actually took a sample, it tasted the best. And so they had like vegan hot dogs with cream cheese. They had a lot of stuff. And I'm like, wow, this cream cheese is good. So I asked the woman there, I said, if you don't mind me asking, I know you can't give me the complete ingredients, but how do you get this so creamy? And they're like, it's a cashew-based cheese, and here's kind of some of the stuff that we add to make it creamy. And I said, So then I went home, and started experimenting with it, and then added the cream cheese in with the similar flavoring that I had from the original mac and cheese, and combined the two, and that's how I was able to make it creamy. Like, you couldn't tell the difference between their nacho cheese and regular nacho cheese. You know what I'm saying? And then so they had other creamy, cheesy thing, and it was all cashew based. And I said, what? Yeah, so that's how I was able to do that. It's some good mac and cheese. I didn't come up with this recipe on my own. It took years of muffing this up, trying to make it over and over again for holidays, because me and my wife were both vegan, messing up the potato salad and other things until we got it right. Now it ain't nothing for us to make a vegan meal. It's expensive. The potato salad alone, when you get all the ingredients, is like $40. Mac and cheese is even worse. I think the mac and cheese just for a pan is like, it's expensive, but we definitely were able to, perfect the flavoring. All right. With that said, let's continue on to the cloud gaming news. Hold on. Geek the Sneak says, nah, fam, if it isn't grandma or mean baked mac and cheese or close, that ain't it. Mostly Martina. Well, before we move on, let's go with the rest of the comments. Mostly Martina says, you are onto something, Evan. Great ad. You know what I mean? You gotta, that's what I'm gonna use that moniker until it wears thin. You can't, I get the grassroots marketing, and in some aspects it's gonna work, but you're gonna get to a point to where you've put everything out there. And I don't care how it smells, how people psychologically have been so upturned about touching that. They're not going to do it. You have to go the extra mile, extra step, and you can't. You got to scoop it up and be able to put it in their mouth and be able to them be willing to have that happen. You do that through savviness. Savviness is the only thing that can battle bad perceptions. And you just got to speak in a language and in a way that, that appeals to people at the time. As they say, when you're in Rome, do as the Romans do. That's why I said that, these little jerky kids that walk around with their phones, they ask all these stupid questions, you know what I'm saying? And they make shorts out of them. Do something like that. People love those videos. Do something like that. Actually convince people that are scared when they go, nah, man. You're like, those are the reactions that you want. Because you want to be transparent as far as I converted a person that was like, heck no. So let it be real. No actors. Let it be real. No, man. No, get out of here. No. No, hear me out. Hear me out. Come on, try. Get your poison. Pick your, go, come on, stop it. Get your poison. You know what I'm saying? And try it out. They try it out. What? You're jiving me. This is not Stadia. Look, bro, it's Stadia. Sign me up. You know, there you go. That's it. 60-second YouTube short. Attach it to some of the bigger channels. Not all the time. Don't blast it yet. You know what I'm saying? Because again, I get it. There's got to be a budget for this stuff. This is something that you're trying, that you're hoping will get some traction. But it's things like that in that vein. And YouTube, here goes the proof. You know, here goes a verbal contract. You can take that and run with it. I don't want any compensation from that, except for knowing that something has, you know, there was some savviness applied that successfully elevated the platform. That's it. That's all I care about. I don't want no compensation from that. That is totally yours. A verbal contract right now. You know what I'm saying? Undeniably live on your own YouTube channel. You know that I can't back away from. I don't. You know, I don't want nothing from you. Can take that idea and use it, or something like it. I don't care. Well, the point that I'm trying to make is that there has to, you know, grassroots marketing is great, but there has to be that extra step where there's just some things that you just got to get people to come up to the spoon and eat it. Dusty Iran says, "Are you still there? Then cut it off." If they're going to set up at a GameStop, then they need a deal for them to see Stadia controllers. No, I would, when I say set up at a GameStop, what I would do is set up to where they're walking by the table and even blur out the GameStop bag if they got it, you know what I'm saying? Like where you could recognize this GameStop, but it's blurred out, right? And that would be great because if you go to a GameStop and you talk about Stadia, like you would think that Stadia took whoever's girlfriend or boyfriend off of them in high school. Like the way, like some of the most egregious stuff that is said about Stadia comes out of GameStop. And it's so erroneous. It's so false, and it's not a coincidence. I know managers and people at GameStop. This has been stuff that has been showed to them. Why? Because because Stadia and cloud platforms, particularly Stadia, go against everything that GameStop is trying to make money off of. Even though they sell Google Play cards there, if you buy your game, for every game that's bought on Stadia, that's a game that can't be traded in. So the extra thumb in the eye would be talking to people that come out of GameStops. That's the extra thumb in the eye to say, yeah, we recognize that you're tainting the minds of gamers when we're brought up. But here's our response to that. We're going to let people actually play it and make up their own daggone minds. You know what I mean? So yeah, I would no, there's nothing that's going to happen at a GameStop ever, Dusty. Never. They're no. Only because even if they sell controllers there, the controllers that are sold there are not going to admonish the fact that the only way that you can enjoy a game on Stadia is a digital copy. That digital copy admonishes the core financial structure of a GameStop, where you would even see a GFN gift card at a GameStop before you would see. Why? Because, well, Well, yeah, you would, because you see PC purchases there, but you would see a GFN gift card there before you would see a Stadia gift card, because it still requires a PC purchase, which someone isn't going to get the latest AAA game. Like, for instance, Saints Row. Let's talk Saints Row. There's a possibility that Saints Row is going to come to GFN because it's part of the Epic Game Store. You know, Epic runs that thing where they're supporting GFN and what they do, or they've talked about doing this contractually. I'm not 110% sure that this is going through, but this is something that Tim Sweeney has brought up as a possibility. It is possible that behind the scenes, they are convincing people like, hey, look, if you're going through the Epic Game Store, you know, make this thing available on GFN2. We're going to give you extra perks. You know what I'm saying? Behind the scenes. So, and not every game that's premiering on Epic Game Store exclusively is going to be on GFN, but that increases the likelihood, right? So, it's possible that Saints Row is going to be on GFN as well. But here's the thing. If I go into GameStop and I buy a GFN card, I still can't enjoy Saints Row. I still got to buy it off of Epic Game Store. So then I got to buy an Epic Game Store card. So GameStop profits off of that twice. You see what I'm saying? To where Stadia, the best they can do is they can sell a controller or whatever. They can sell a CCU, but see, there's already an established market for PC games, and GameStop has already acclimated their business model to deal with PC digital games and make a fair amount of money off of them. But when you buy a game on Stadia, that's more of a threat to a purchase that could have been made on PlayStation or Xbox. And that's more of a threat of a purchase that could have been made on PlayStation and Xbox that could have been a physical copy. That's how GameStop is looking at it. Now, I'm not saying that's right. It's legitimate. It excuses the coincidental, you know, verbiage that I hear when I go to every GameStop. That's the same old bullet points. I'm going to leave it at that. But that's their line of thinking. So you'll never see them support, and especially now that they've done some type of business deal where Microsoft Azure runs their business platform. You'll never see them support Stadia or Luna. But I think it'll be a thumb in the eye if you catch people walking out of GameStop and you blur out the bag a little bit, but you keep it identifiable enough to where they know it's GameStop, right? I think that'll be cool. All right, we're running heavy on time. All right, so that's because of me bloviating so much. Put it on Twitter. Yeah, I will put it. Yeah, put it wherever you can. Put it wherever you can where it makes sense budget-wise. You know what I mean? Put it wherever it makes sense budget-wise. Okay, let's talk a little bit about... So those are my thoughts on Stadia and the 100 free trials. I think they're great. I think something like this, though, is going to need just a further push, some more savviness to get the effective results that it deserves. All right. Let's talk about cloud news, and then we're going to go to the raffle. We got to pick a new winner because, unfortunately, our previous winner hasn't contacted us, so we're going to get to that shortly. All right, so the cloud news is really going to be short. It's not going to be that short where we're going to end the show. But here's what I want to talk about. So Stadia, as we said earlier, is on its way to 40. I mean, it has 41 titles right now. So it's actually surpassing 2020, where it's on par with 2020, right? And in 2020, we've seen it reach 108 games. Right? So it's likely that they're going to reach over 100 games again. It's just that they may have had delays, things in the pipeline that, had to get readjusted. We'll see. We'll see. Nobody knows until we get to the end of the year. But if you look at precedent, it looks like that they're gonna reach it. All right. Now, Stadia was light at the beginning of the year, and it looks like that they're going to pick up pace. When I look at the other cloud platforms like GFN and xCloud or whomever, it's an indie affair everywhere. You know what I mean? And so when you look at the games that were actually released, like, it's important to let the dust settle. When you look at the games that were actually released over the last 12 months, again, Stadia's stake has always been about quality over quantity. It's always been about the 100 games a year, more or less. There's usually around 10 AAAs that come out each year. I think we're going to fall short. We may fall short of that this year. Who knows? We never know. But there's normally around 10 AAAs that come out each year, maybe a little bit more, 10 to 12, whatever. I got to look at the numbers again. But whatever the average number of AAA games that come out, we may fall short there. But I think there's understandable and multiple reasons for that on the Stadia side. I think they're looking to pick that up going on in 2023 and more. But when you look beyond just numbers and you look at the games that you're getting and you do like a rolling calendar observation, this is me personally, and let me know in the chat where you fall in this realm. Me personally, the only games that I've been interested in from a AAA aspect, because I don't feel like I need to play everything. And I don't think Stadia was ever meant for anybody that needed to feel like they need to play anything. Like, even before they made the decision that they had to pivot, earlier on, they told you, and we saw that in the GameIndustry.biz article. They said, we're not going to be the Wild Wild West of gaming. They said, just because you made a successful game last year doesn't mean that your next iterations are going to come into our store. So they've always been one that heavily curates their games, right? I think what has to be understood on that front is that now that we're all like kind of on an even keel as far as the type of games that people are getting across the board, because we were warned at the beginning of the year, it's going to be an indie fest around this time, right? We're going to hit an indie, I don't want to call it an indie bubble, like there's something wrong with indie games, but it's like going to be an indie fest right now. When you look at the games, over a 12-month period, the only games that were available to the cloud that I felt like, okay, would have been something that would have garnered my interest, would have been Guardians of the Galaxy, possibly. I wasn't really big on that one. Guardians of the Galaxy, NBA, we can't forget about NBA 2K22, I believe it is. Yeah, 22. Evil Dead and Madden. I mean, not Madden, Jesus Christ. Dying Light 2. When I look at what we do have, possibly exclusively, maybe just partially exclusively, we're going to get Saints Row, And we're going to get that extended DLC for Resident Evil. Even me, the huge Dying Light 2 fan, when I get out of my box, I'm gonna be honest with you. I gotta realize that the bigger impact, the bigger impacting games are going to be the Resident Evil content in Saints Row. And what we were doing for a long time, and people misunderstood why we did the NPD compare, is that we were trying to show Stadia's caveating strategy, where they would, maybe caveat is the curated strategy. Stadia is, again, their goal, which seems that hasn't changed with the SG&E closure. The goal that seems like that hasn't changed is that they're not trying to be the wild, wild west of the game stores. I think we can all agree that they would have liked to get Dying Light, dang date. They probably wanted to get Elden Ring, you know. But, well, Elden Ring wasn't on multiple platforms. We know they would have loved to get 2K games, but something's going on there. And they would have liked to get Guardians of the Galaxy. I think what they realized, well, not what they realized. I think what happened in maybe one or two cases is the porting process that hampered them getting at least one of those games. But I don't think it was Stadia's intention to get every single game that came out, or even get 80 or 90% of them. They told you they weren't going to be the wild, wild west of the gaming stores. And when you look at the top-notch games that are out there that they didn't get, okay, I mean, I think it'd be great if we get Valheim. That's one. That'd be great to get on the platform, right? So they're going to look and work and get what they can out here. And I think more of it is going to come retroactively, or it's going to come later. But it's not like that when you look over a 12-month span, when you compare what was available elsewhere, that you see a bunch of games that had lasting, powerful impact with their core demographic. I mean, there were games like, what was it, Kuna or whatever, the one that was a PlayStation game as well, that looked real great, but that didn't chart for a long time. Guardians of the Galaxy didn't chart for a long time. When you look commonly at the Stadia games, they are games that chart for a while. They have lasting power. Or when you look at, or better yet, when you look at games that have a long, I mean, that are more expensive, that are AAA rather. I don't want, you know, there's games like stacks on stacks on stacks that don't chart at all, you know. But when I'm talking about the more expensive games, when they're going to invest in games or invest in those big ticket experiences, those are big ticket experiences that chart for a while. Hold on for 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. So there was a reason why that we did those charts, and we're going to get back to the NPD charts because I think it's a good thing to continue to measure and publicly measure how well Stadia's hitting this core demo. Now, what Jack has done is he's done the I think the UK equivalent to that to a certain degree. You know what I mean? So the purpose of that is to say, okay, we do understand, Stadia, what your core demo is and who you're trying to reach. How well are you reaching them versus your peers? It's not, and I mean, it just, I don't want to say it just so happens. It's not just so happens that they have a plan and they're executing it. It may be unorthodox to the hardcore gamer that's looking for a PlayStation or an Xbox in the sky. I think for the most part, those people are in the wrong place. But for the target demo that they're trying to reach, and for those that understand that, their strategy makes sense. That's why there was a lot of uproar about, oh, they're closing down because things are this, that, and the other, and people were missing the things that were being said, the things that were being presented, and the things that were actually being done, and they actually fell into believing that. I do think that there are a number of people that are looking for something that this isn't meant for. So a lot of this stuff flies over their head. That being said, again, never meant to be the wild, wild west of games. But when you look at the big ticket games that they did get over the last 12 months, opposed to what they didn't get, I got to be honest with you. I'd rather have what they're getting opposed to what they didn't get. Like, you can make me a list of all the games and say, all right, these are all the big ticket notable games that they didn't get. And here goes the notable games that they did get. And you may even have more on the side of where they didn't get them. I'm looking at the ones that they did get, looking at charting, and I'm saying those had more lasting power. Those made business sense to them. And for me personally, and for its core demographic, which I feel like, you know, I just fit into, it made sense for them. So yes, I'd rather have Rainbow Six Extraction. I'm gonna throw World War Z in there. I think that's a great game. I just don't like the fact that it's not coming for 4K and it launched in the Pro. But I think that's a hell of a game, World War Z. Now people may say, why are you counting? I'm just counting all the big ticket games that they did get that they did get on the platform. I like the fact that they did get Dynasty Warriors. That's a big ticket game. I like the fact that they got Five Nights at Freddy. It may not be a AAA game, but that's a big ticket game. That's serious. I like the fact that they got that they're getting Saints Row, big ticket AAA game. I like the fact that they're getting this Resident Evil DLC, big ticket AAA content. And we're gonna see what else did they get, because I don't know what else. Now, if you look at Hogwarts Legacy, when we get to Hogwarts Legacy, you know what I'm saying? Like, of course, you know, that's a big game. That's a game that I'm really interested in. I would love to see, but Hogwarts Legacy opposed to everything else that they didn't get. Like, okay, so let's take everything that they didn't get, like within the 12 months that I can remember. Okay, so Valheim, I'll put out there. NBA 2K22, they didn't get. Let's see, Marvel, Kenna. You know, Kenna charted, but it didn't last on the chart. So Kenna, Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy, Evil Dead, Dying Light 2. Those are all the other cloud games that they didn't get. And I'll throw Hogwarts Legacy in there. I still rather have what they got than what they didn't get. Hogwarts Legacy, you know, makes it a tighter race, but it is what it is. If Avatar is still slotted for 2022, is it going to be as good as that? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. We'll find out. But definitively, if Division Heartlands comes out this year and or X Defiant, yeah, so I think that's a great way to look at it. I mean, again, they're not going to be the wild, wild west of everything. I do want more experiences on here. I think everybody does. But I don't need, and I don't think its core demo needs everything. If you feel like you need everything, but you enjoy the Stadia experience, I hate to tell you, you're going to have to supplement it. We talked about that earlier as well. If you feel like you need everything and you don't like the Stadia experience, I think you answered your own question. Why are you here? You know what I mean? And I don't mean that in a sly way. I mean that in a don't forcibly subject yourself to something that isn't for you. We're not doing it. You know what I mean? That's why we're not on other platforms that people may praise. We're here because this is what we enjoy. So hopefully that makes sense, right? Like, you're seeing some stuff happening. A lot of it is indie. It's great. It's giving people an opportunity to address backlogs and all of this stuff. But now that I'm looking at, again, at the 12 months that was there, and I'm looking at the games that we got versus the games that we didn't get. And someone came to me and said, all right, you got a choice, MM2K. Would you rather have the games that you got or the games that you didn't get on Stadia within the last 12 months? I'm like, I'd rather have the games that I got. I know some people may argue, well, that's silly. Why not have them all? Even for a slower year, this platform was never meant to be the B's G's of everything that grabs news. It's never meant to. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, go look for the Business Insider article that came out during launch where Stadia told you exactly that. You can't make them make their product be something that you want it to be. And that's and I'm breaking it down this way for those that may be confused, that may look at some of us that are like, okay, yeah, we want more, but we're not pulling our hair out and we're not flipping out of the window. Well, why aren't you? Because we look at what we got versus what we didn't get. And we're like, I'd rather have that. Because some of us understand it's about choice. Some situations are about choices. Choices have consequences. And, you know, the consequence of this is that they got to continuously working on, you know, making sure that they get more content. You know what I mean? But we understand what we got. Are we pleased with it? Are we feasible? We feel it's feasible? Yes. So we're moving on. When we get to the point to where when we're looking at what we got, and we're looking at what we got, and then we're like, I'd rather have, then you would see a different reaction. But a lot of us aren't, what do you call that? We're not buffet gamers. I hate to put it like that. I'm not trying to put anybody down. A lot of us aren't buffet gamers. We're not gamers that feel like we got to get our hands on everything. I'm not looking to touch every single game that makes news. You know what I mean? You know, I want quality games that I know I'm going to, you know, I want the biggest bang for my buck. I want quality games that I know that I'm going to cherish and relish for a while. Either because I'm still playing them, or when I think back to them, I'll be like, damn, that was a hell of an experience. So even games like BioShock that, you know, when you finish it, you're less likely to try it again, but it's an experience that lasts in your mind. God of War, you know, stuff like that, you know. So those are my thoughts on it. So, you know, every platform has its benefits, has its perks, but they're all pretty much on an even kill right now. So just enjoy gaming, man, and attack that backlog. Like, I'm going to even be playing some Mass Effect, was it Legendary Edition, they call it, or whatever. I'm gonna be enjoying that. I got that free, courtesy of Amazon Prime. Shout out to y'all. I'm gonna be playing that natively on PC. Might give it a shot on GFN, see how it plays there. All that good stuff, you know what I mean? And then when Saints Row comes out, I'm gonna get revved up for Saints Row. In between them, we'll be playing some Division, playing some Outriders 2. You know, I'm just doing some gamer stuff. But again, I just wanted to have that conversation to help people understand. You know, if you may look to your left and look to your right and be like, why are y'all still content? That's the word I'm looking for. Why are y'all content? Because there's so many games that we still haven't played. Like, we don't have to play everything. We caught those footnotes from the platform. You know, we were paying attention in class. We understood that about the platform, and we're looking at what we didn't get, and we may not have the same impulse like you. We're not looking at everything like that made the news and that made the news, that made the news. I want to touch that. I want to touch that. Every gamer isn't like that. Doesn't make you more of a gamer or less of a gamer, whether you are or aren't. But we're content because we're looking at what we did get versus what we didn't get. We're happier what we did get, with the caveat of we are expecting more, you know, over time as they build on the platform and make the tools better and all that good stuff. We still got plenty of games that we do want to touch that we haven't even touched yet, right? So, all right, hopefully that all makes sense. Okay, I babbled enough. We're about to hit the 2-hour mark, and we need to do this raffle. All right. So with no further ado, let me tell you something. It's raffle time. All right, so here's what happened, folks. For those of you that don't know, if you're a member of the channel, you are eligible the first and second month of each month. You're eligible to win a controller. The third, Jesus Christ. No. Let me rewind back. The first and second month of each quarter. The first and second month of each quarter, you're eligible to win a controller. So we raffle off a controller, just like how we're about to raffle this off, right? The hell is going on here? I don't know what's going on here. Okay, there we go. All right. This isn't supposed, hold on. Let me fix something. I'm sorry. Let me fix something. Okay, there we go. All right. So the first and second month of each quarter, just want to make sure I've said this right again. I know I'm saying it multiple times. We're raffling off controllers that month. The third month of each quarter, we're raffling off a Stadia Play and Watch kit. Let's do this. So let's put this out here so everybody can see. All right, so this is the Stadia Play and Watch, where you get the controller, you get the Chromecast with Google TV, and you get the remote, of course. You know what I'm saying? So we raffle off one of those the third month of each quarter. All right. So we had already selected a winner for the month of June. And that winner didn't reach out. So when you don't reach out after X amount of time, we're still giving out the gift. So we got to raffle it again. All right. It's unfortunate, but my recommendation to everybody is, if you're going to become a member, all right, I drop in the members form, just check the members column for our channel. We always talk about these raffles when they're coming. They usually happen anywhere between the 25th of the month to the first of the previous month. Follow us on Twitter as well. You know what I'm saying? Or just follow StadiaDosage on Twitter. You'll get notification of them. But we always talk about these raffles, all right, when they're coming. All right? So because they didn't win, we are going to do the raffle all over again and select the winner. And hopefully that winner will claim their prize. And it's just a thank you. Like we say, everything that we plug into this platform, we give back to you guys. So we want to use this as a thank you to everybody. All right. With that said, let's do it with no further ado. Bada boom, bada bing. Here we go. Let's spin it. And the winner of the plug and play bundle is Sanchez MTZ Gaming. All right. Sanchez, I see you regularly. So hit me up, Sanchez. You are the winner. I'm gonna put it out there on here. Matter of fact, let me do this right now. Let me go to YouTube. I'm gonna do this live on air. Let me go to my channel, go to your channel. Hold on, membership, community, let's do this. Congratulations. Oh, Jesus Christ. Congratulations to at Sanchez Gaming. Here we go. For winning our Google Play and Watch bundle. Sanchez. Hit me up on either Twitter, at MM2K, or email the mm2k@gmail.com. Awesome stuff. Let me see, can I add an image? Select for the winner. Okay, let's see if I can find the plug and play Google Drive. Oh my God. Hold on one second. Give me a second, y'all. I know y'all like, come on, dude. All this just because should be better prepared. Stadia. I can find a pic. Where is the plug? I don't have the plug. Oh, there we go. Hold on. I don't have the Google Plug and Play bundle. There it goes. There we go. All right. Member raffle. There we go. All right, let's do it. So we got it. We posted it. And we're just waiting for Sanchez Gaming to get a hold of us. Congratulations to him. And shout out to everybody for watching. Thank you very much. We really do appreciate it. I'm going to read through some of these last comments and then we're going to wrap up. Mostly Martinez says, I think still Stadia should sell 6 and 12-month pro subs, even game cards like Nintendo. That's not going to happen for a while. Here's why. Because the pro money is being used to subsidize the pro revenue. So yeah, you may get that after that runs out in 2023. You're not getting that anytime soon. So that, yeah, as much money as they can to get in there to help subsidize that, they're going to put that in there. Yeah, so you're not going to see that for a while. And again, I get it. I get it to where we would want to see that, you know, but you got to keep in mind that, again, this is a 1% business. We want games launching in the Stadia Pro. We want games coming to the platform. That monetary gain that they're getting to make that happen is making, I'm going to tell you this. I'll tell you this. I'll just put it like this. The charts and everything that are showing how lucrative this is making the circles. That's huge. And we're contributing to that, so that's important. You know what I mean? So I get to where we want to see that reduction in the price and people just grab, but I don't think we're going to see it for a while. I mean, in my opinion, I don't think you're going to see it till 2023. I understand. Anilo Gambado says, I want a bundle Google Drive and plus YouTube Premium and Stadia yearly. I want to pay, but at a lowest price. I think, again, another reason for that would be, don't expect to see that until after 2023 for the simple fact that it's got to be, that would cut into the revenue. Because, you know, which is going to be YouTube Premium's revenue, which is going to be Stadia Pro's revenue. So I wouldn't expect that till after 2023. But I get what we're saying. I get what everybody's saying. Some might come through Pro, especially the games from earlier in the year. Oh, here goes Aminar. Aminar is on his spiel. He says Godfall, Call of Duty, Fortnite. In my opinion, Stadia lacks nothing. I'm delighted as it is. Little by little, it grows and improves. Tiny Tina. Okay, yeah, Tiny Tina's Wonderland. I did forget about that one. I'm not Godfall. I'm not counting Godfall. Like, stop it. Stop it. Call of Duty. That's Microsoft bound, so you can forget about that one. Fortnite. They shouldn't even be on, like, Call of Duty and Fortnite aren't even up for discussion. Godfall will be up for discussion, but no. I appreciate Godfall, but no. Now, it's a cool game, don't get me wrong, but no. Call of Duty and Fortnite, you can forget about it. Call of Duty, because they're going through that transaction with Microsoft. Microsoft doesn't want any future games besides the legacy ones that came out prior to them buying up Bethesda. They don't want no more games on Stadia. They're not going to work with us like how they work with PlayStation and Nintendo. You can forget that. So Call of Duty and Fortnite, you can forget those because of that. And Fortnite because of Tim Sweeney. So that's not even up for discussion. I will give you credit for Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Tiny Tina's Wonderland is one that I would have liked to have had. Hold on one second. Tiny Tina's Wonderland is one that I would have liked to have had, but I'm not hard pressed upon because it's linear. When I play a Borderlands game, I want it to be open world. So that's more of a linear, again, not to say that it isn't good, but again, it's not charting. I mean, until you said that, I forgot all about the game. You know what I mean? So, well, he said Demon Souls. I don't care for those type of games. But you can throw Demon Souls in them, but Demon Soul, like, the remake is exclusive. So what are you talking about? I mean, you can't. You can't put non-exclusive games in that list. I don't make any sense. Like the Demon Souls remake is exclusive to PlayStation, so we can't put that in there either. Warzone, Apex, and Fortnite without console or PC, game over. Now Apex Legends could be a possibility. There was rumors about that Apex Legends in 2020, I think. Apex Legends could be a possibility, but I'm talking about new releases. I'm talking about new releases. So when we look at new releases that came out over the last 12 months, Geek to Sneak said Kenna, which, yes. What else was there? Then Aminar said Godfall, which, I mean, you could include it, but no, no, thank you. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. It's cool, but no. Out of all the games that I listed earlier, I think Godfall is below those games. Yeah, I would again, Kenna. You could add Godfall in there. We can't Call of Duty, Fortnite, no. Tiny Tina's Wonderland is an interesting one, but I mean, if you ask me, would I rather have Tiny Tina's Wonderland for me personally rather than Dynasty Warriors 9? Let me see something. I want to see something. Matt Piscatella. Let's go. I don't think Dynasty Warriors 9 did too well. I'm not sure it did. I'll have to take a look at it. Let me go look at something real quick. I'm going to look at something real quick. Because Matt Piscatella just put out the NPDs today. We can check that out live on air. See what he released on NPD. Come on. All right, here we go. All right. So here, let's do this. I'm gonna do this. We're gonna put this live on air. We're gonna talk about it. This is gonna be a long show. Let's talk about it. So this is the NPDs that show all of June's data, right? So it looks like PlayStation $1 wise for the month of June. What do you call it? Your PlayStation 5 $1 wise for the month of June. And it had double-digit percentage growth when compared to a year ago. What else? Oh, and they lead in dollars for the first 6 months of the year. Switch leads in how many units were sold. Just interesting mainstream gaming stuff. Okay, so these are the top 20 games for June of 2022. I'm just curious. Tiny Tina's Wonderland isn't even there. Here's an interesting one. The Query. So the Query comes in at 19. Remember, there was all the hoopla about the Query. But we got to remember here too, we got to understand how to read this. I remember when I first introduced this to the community, they had a hard time understanding this. But digital sales not included, meaning anything that was digital. These are only physical sales, and so it was new and it debuted at 19. But it debuted in 19, short of its digital sales. But here's the interesting thing about the Query, though. every chart that you looked at where they did include the digital sales, the query, the best charting that it had was 4th place. Like in the UK charts, I think it launched in 4th place. On Steam, it launched in 6th place. So even if you do include the digital sales, maybe it goes up to 10th. I mean, I know that it was PlayStation 5, not PlayStation altogether, but only PlayStation 5s, which there's plenty of PlayStation 5s out. There's a lot of PlayStation 5s out there, but we don't know what the activity was in June. June is usually a lighter month when it comes to game purchases. Excuse me. But we don't know how many downloads there were on PlayStation 5 altogether, but it was the most downloaded game on PlayStation 5 for the month of June. So I'm gonna guesstimate that it's probably within the top 10, but closer to the bottom end of that. So a game that is in that charted in the top 10, likely, when you include their digital sales. I mean, that's cool. But again, to what I've been saying, I don't think it was strong enough to where we can argue that game was going to change the tide in a significant way for Stadia. You know what I mean? And hence, again, decisions have consequences. We're talking about Elden Ring. Like if Stadia would have had Elden Ring and had an opportunity to make that exclusive, and then they gave that up, then I get it. You know what I'm saying? Then I get it. But the query, it just wasn't that game, unfortunately. And it sucks. I get it. It sucks that it didn't, it ain't coming to the platform as we know and all other stuff, but we'll soon see what happens in the future. But I don't see Tiny Tina's Wonderland. And that just came out a few months ago. See what I'm saying? And like, if you were to look at this list and compare it to the cloud platforms, I'm thinking that Stadia might have a slight edge versus the other cloud platforms. So again, Stadia has a specific goal. They're trying to get games with lasting power to suit casual plug and play gamers that are disenfranchised from hardware. You know what I mean? But no. Like don't give me that Godfall crap. Usually talking about Godfall. And Tiny Tina's Wonderland, as big of a Borderlands nut as I am, I mean, I'm like, yeah, I mean, I can look at a game like Dynasty Warriors 9. I can look at a singular game like Dynasty Warriors 9 and say, yeah, I think that would have a bigger impact than, you know, than Dynasty Warriors 9. But let me see something. Speaking of Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires NPD. I don't see. When did it release? February 22nd. So I'm going to say NPD February 2022. Let's look at that real quick. All right. We got Matt Piscatella's thread. I want to compare. We got Matt Piscatella's thread for NPD 2022, February. Let's see where Dynasty Warriors is at. All right, let's go to the top 20. Elden Ring is new. Dying Light. Pokemon Legends. Dynasty War. Wow, they didn't even chart. They didn't even chart. Yep. Top 20 US video games. I don't see it. Nope. It didn't even chart. Dynasty Warriors is bigger in Asia. But golly, it didn't even chart. All right, so there's that. I'm just making sure looking that I'm not missing anything. All right, so let's talk about Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Tiny Tina's Wonderland. When did that come out? So it came out March 25th. So let's do March 22 NPD. Matt Piscatella, March it. I love doing this. I love doing this data dive. All right, so here goes March NPD 2022. All right. March NPD 2022 is, let's scroll down, let's look. And here goes the top 20 games. Tiny Tina's Wonderland is 11th, but it doesn't include digital. So I'm guessing 2K, they don't provide digital sales. So, but that's why I said, y'all, that if I'm looking at Tiny Tina's Wonderland, I'm like, yeah, I would rather swap that out for Dynasty Warriors 9. I didn't even know that because of the impact, despite my own personal, like Dynasty Warriors 9 didn't even chart in the US, to where Tiny Tina's Wonderland was at least 11th when you, excluding digital sales, right? So, and I want to see one more thing. Let me see one more thing. I want to see, let's look at year-to-date dollar sales. Like, you don't see Tiny Tina's there. So, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's not a huge game, but again, when you look at the two titles, Tiny Tina's Wonderland, at least for Stadia's core demographic, had a bigger impact than Dynasty Warriors 9. So it would have made sense to get Tiny Tina's Wonderland over that game. But again, we don't know what's going on between Stadia and Take-Two. I mean, there seems like to still be some type of lingering thing there for the future, but we don't know what that means. But to Aminar's crazy point that, you know, yeah, I mean, I would swap Tiny Tina's for one game, but Tiny Tina's Wonderland, when you add it to the list of games that they didn't get, opposed to the games they did get, it doesn't make that much of an impact to say, yeah, I'd rather have what they didn't get. That's plausible. Like, you can't count Call of Duty because of Microsoft. You can't count Fortnite. Fortnite ain't coming. All right, we gotta get over that. All right, but shout out to Stefan. Shout out to Sanchez for that. All right. With that said, because people wouldn't have liked Query just because it was on. Exactly. Sean, we know that. We know that. Like, this is the argument that I make that shuts that up. And then we're going to close out. You had Cyberpunk 2077. The biggest game in the last at least 5 years. It launches day and date on Stadia. Immediately after launch, people are told, if you have a powerful PC, you'll have a good time with this game. Because, you know, I mean, even though it has bugs in it, but still, PC people still loved it. because 60% of its sales were on PC. So they said, if you have a PC, you love this game. But they said next to having a powerful PC, the best place that you're going to enjoy this game on is on Google Stadia. They said the console experience is going to be too buggy, too messed up, because the PlayStation 4, Xbox One versions are just horrendous, and the next generation consoles, even though they have more juice in them, they're just a little bit more juice to the horrendous versions. So your best bet, if you don't have a powerful PC, which a lot of gamers don't have, your best bet is to get this game on Google Stadia. And don't get me wrong, in comparison to other games that were purchased on Google Stadia, a lot of people got this game. But as it being told as the second best place to play it, when you look at number one was 60% of the sales. Number two was what? Anywhere between 1 to 5%? That speaks volumes. And here's the thing too. Google was giving away, they've been giving away, I think in lieu to this, they were giving away a whole bunch of premium, Google Stadia premium bundles. And if you bought the game, they were packing in a bundle as well, a premium bundle as well. And even at that, maybe 1 to 5%, which again for a cloud platform is great, particularly if the game sold 13 million by the end of the year and within a month and a half. That's great. 1% of that is cool for a cloud platform. And now it's at a total of 18 million. But again, the biggest game where you were told, hey, if you don't have the most powerful PC, which most people don't have, only a small portion of gamers have powerful PCs. If you don't have the most powerful PC, your best bet is getting it on Google Stadia. And a lot of people listen, but not enough to change the needle or change the trajectory forever for Google Stadia. What it did is it showed Stadia that its prior planning wasn't best for the platform. So they pivoted in a different direction. It was powerful enough to do that, but it didn't change the trajectory of the platform to the mainstream gamer. They were so psychologically infused to know, I've been told everywhere, this ain't gonna work for me. I gotta have excellent internet. All these excuses have been infused in their brain to where they were not going to get the biggest game over at least the last 5 years on a free 99 platform. And most people that didn't get it and believed all that internet crap, they played Fortnite every day with no problems over the internet. It has been said that for you to have a decent experience with Stadia, it takes the same amount of internet that you use to play Fortnite. And they still wouldn't buy. Again, you were told the first place is a high powerful PC. 60% of the sales. Second place, Stadia. 1 to 5% of the sales. Does that sound like that's a market that's ready for cloud gaming? We're not saying cloud gaming isn't capable. The consumer market just isn't ready for it mentally yet. Just because you are, you gotta be able to separate yourself and understand that you're different, you're unique. We're all unique from the average gaming market, and I'm okay with that. That just tells me that I'm ahead of the curve. We're ahead of the curve from them. But that's why when I heard that query stuff, I just scoffed at it, like, whatever. Now, if we're talking Elden Ring, and to Sean L's point, if everybody was coming out and saying, oh yeah, screwed all that stuff that you heard about Stadia, you gotta play this game on Stadia. It's excellent. It's a must-have. If you were gonna have the reporting community, you know, almost unanimously come out and say that this would be a great experience on Stadia. If you were going to do that, and the game was as quality as it was, then yeah, you find a way to keep that game. Yeah, then I can understand all the sucking of the teeth and all the other stuff. But for Query, as cool as a game it is, it's a cult game. It's not going to move the trajectory. I don't even know if it even charts next month. I don't know. Charted at 19 in its launch month. Charted at 19. Yeah, I don't know about that one. So we may have some emotions about things, but there's an old saying from where I come from: you ain't got a lot to kick it. We ain't got to sit there and over bloviate our emotions to make it seem factual. It just wasn't. You know what I mean? So hopefully that makes sense. But with that said, this is from your boy. I appreciate all of y'all. Thank y'all for coming through. Shout out to all of y'all, because without you, we don't see the progress and the success that we see. Thank you so much for your support. And just keep checking us out here, checking us out on StadiaDosage.com. We got a lot of great stuff coming. New show coming this month. I think it's about time that we advertise it. You're gonna hear, if you're watching this via Premiere, we're gonna start advertising. If we haven't done it already, we're gonna start advertising it tomorrow or Monday. If you're watching this, I'm talking in the future. We'll start advertising this on Monday. All right. Shout out to Sanchez MTZ Gaming. Hit me up, man. Hit me up. And until next time, you all have a wonderful, wonderful gaming day. Peace.